Hello and welcome to Hypano, where we bring you the latest news briefings and analysis on technologies and EVs to keep you informed. This hour in focus, we are exploring what China's new smartphone means for Wall Street and pricing details of Huawei's Mate 60 Pro smartphones. But before we proceed, please kindly like and subscribe to this channel by clicking the bell notification feature below to help YouTube learn of your preferences and to receive notifications each time new videos are uploaded on this channel. Let's get started. Accordingly, a version of this story was initially published in the newsletter sent by CNN Business titled Before the Bell. Not one of our subscribers, you can register right now if you'd like. Following the same link will take you to an audio version of the newsletter, which you can listen to. As a result of artificial intelligence, AI, being the narrative of 2023, the stock prices of chipmakers have skyrocketed during the past year. However, there has been a discernible decline in the price of those shares over the past several weeks as the escalating tensions between the United States and China have cast doubt on their prognosis. The new Mate 60 Pro phone, which was manufactured by the Chinese company Huawei, was unveiled the week before last. This caused investigations to be opened in the United States into how the business was able to launch the phone after spending the previous 4 years being subject to limitations imposed by the United States that were intended to restrict its access to 5G technology. The accomplishment by Huawei may indicate that the rate of technological advancement in China is far higher than was previously believed. Because of this development, 2 members of Congress from the United States, Mike Gallagher and Michael McCaul, have asked the White House to place even more restrictions on the transfer of technology to businesses in China. According to Angelo Zeno, a senior semiconductor analyst at CFRA, he estimates that there is a greater than 50% chance that the United States would adopt additional chip limitations in China. According to him, this is bad news for companies in the United States that are exposed to the smartphone ecosystem, such as Qorvo, QRVO, and Skyworks Solutions, SWS. Before the Bell had a conversation with Zeno about what's going on and the implications it could have for Wall Street. To Angelo Zeno, the United States and China have engaged in a significant amount of back-and-forth competition in the race to artificial intelligence. Concerns have been raised regarding the possibility of the Chinese government obtaining chips and information regarding their capabilities from a variety of chipmakers based in the United States. When you think of where the majority of semiconductors in the world are manufactured right now, you probably think of Taiwan and Korea. However, China has been making efforts to increase their output over the past few years. Taiwan and Korea produce the majority of the world's semiconductors. Companies in China, like as Foxconn, are already responsible for the assembly of almost 1/3 of the world's electronic products. Currently, these companies are expanding their capabilities to manufacture chips as well, and they've had a lot of success doing so. They have developed some very high-tech chips, despite some of the bans and tariffs that have been imposed by the US administration over the last couple of years. They have ordered a significant amount of equipment from the United States, made by the likes of Applied Materials, among others, in order to increase their capacity and exposure in the semiconductor industry. Applied Materials is just one of the companies that has made this equipment. So, why is the United States conducting an investigation into Huawei's next smartphone? The new Huawei smartphone utilizes a chip that was internally designed by Huawei and is incredibly powerful. This chip was built by the Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corporation, SMIC, a Chinese semiconductor foundry that is partially owned by the Chinese government. That implies that it is now believed that SMIC has the tools to manufacture highly complex 5G chips for phones, which is a source of anxiety for officials in the United States government who wish to maintain a significant lead in the development of modern technologies. Even though this chip is still inferior to those found in newer iPhones, the fact that it is still present is cause for alarm. Officials from the United States are interested in finding out whether or not Huawei manufactured this device in an honest manner. Were they successful in developing this device without making use of any of the components that were prohibited? There is scant information available on what exactly is contained within this gadget. However, when you consider the capabilities that it possesses, you cannot help but worry about its contents. Even if Huawei carried out all of this activity in an honest and ethical manner, using only components manufactured in China, this still raises red flags since it indicates that Chinese technology has been advancing far more quickly than we had previously believed. This indicates that the restrictions on chip production imposed by the US government on Huawei and SMIC could be increased even further. So, what does this imply for investors in the United States? The leading semiconductor businesses, such as NVIDIA, NVDA, and Qualcomm, QCOM, are likely to benefit positively from this development in the long run. These are the most cutting-edge businesses now operating, and they are the ones most responsible for fostering innovation. It will be to their advantage if the government of the United States places some restrictions on China in order to impede the rate of innovation in China's domestic manufacturing industry. This would offer these corporations an even greater competitive advantage. However, it is becoming exceedingly impossible to predict what the repercussions of this will be over the course of the following half year. In that instance, it will most likely have a greater detrimental effect in the near run. How, however, are investors supposed to make sense of the contradictory information that chip stocks represent the future and that geopolitical tensions could bring the sector to a halt? What we urge folks to do is to focus on the circular drivers, rather than necessarily the day-to-day kind of moves and some of the geopolitical issues that are now out there. It is important to understand that these tensions will most likely have an effect on the profitability of some of these businesses, and that investing in an individual company will always come with some degree of risk. However, over the course of the next 10 years, the secular prospects connected to the semiconductor sector will be extremely immense. This is especially true now that AI has become the most important game in town. You should look to buy stocks in semiconductor companies that are connected to such long-term trends. I don't believe that purchasing semiconductors can be done on a whim. You are required to complete your assigned homework. You have a special interest in Intel, INTC, which is capitalized. Intel has truly adjusted their business strategy to focus on becoming a foundry partner for every chipmaker in the globe, with a concentration on diversifying away from Asia as a result of the rising geopolitical tension that is occurring there. Intel made this decision because of the rising geopolitical tension that is occurring in Asia. They have collaborated extensively with the government of the United States on this matter, and we believe that there will be a significant increase in demand for their chips over the next few years as a result of the fact that businesses will need to expand their operations outside of China. Many of these geopolitical challenges that are bubbling up right now in the semiconductor business are seen as Intel's opportunity to shine as a solution provider. And the expectation is that they will have enough capacity out there by 2025 or 2026 to actually be of assistance to the industry in a significant sense. According to my colleague Anna Kubin's research, the current winning streak for the US dollar is the longest it has been in nearly 9 years. On Friday, the United States dollar notched its 8th consecutive week of gains as measured against a basket of other major currencies, marking its best run since the winter of 2014 to 2015. Since the middle of July, the upswing follows several months of volatility in the value of the dollar, which was spurred by concerns that the dollar may be losing its status as the reserve currency for the globe. After the Chinese-led expansion of the BRICS group of nations to include major oil producers like Saudi Arabia, speculation over the probable de-dollarization of global commerce grew again last month. This was the result of the expansion of the BRICS group of nations. A deluge of solid economic data from the United States in recent weeks has provided support for the US dollar index, which is now at its highest level in 6 months. This has fueled hopes that the Federal Reserve will maintain interest rates higher for longer, which in turn has pushed the US dollar index to its current level, which is at its highest level in 6 months. When interest rates in a country are higher, they tend to attract more foreign capital, which in turn drives up the value of the country's currency, since investors are anticipating higher returns on their investments. During this time, ominous clouds have begun to form over the economies of both China and Europe. Since the middle of July, the value of €1 has decreased by 4.4%, bringing it down to $1.07 per currency. During that time period, the value of the Chinese yuan fell against the dollar by 2.6%, reaching its weakest point versus the dollar in the past 16 years. According to my colleague Samantha DeLuia's observations, fewer people are purchasing furniture than in years past. The previous week, 2 dealers of furniture stated that they are experiencing a significant drop in sales in comparison to the previous year. On Thursday, luxury furniture company RH announced a 19% reduction in revenue for the second quarter, while on Friday, Hooker Furnishings, a furniture maker based in Virginia that sells goods at Wayfair, Macy's, and other shops, said that their second quarter revenue sank by 36%. Both companies' revenue was reported for the second quarter. It would appear that investors are concerned. Shares of RH, and Hooker Furnishings, HOFT, both experienced declines of 17% and 16% respectively on Friday. After years of expansion that were spurred by patterns associated with staying at home during the pandemic era, the 2 businesses are the most recent in a growing list of furniture merchants that are witnessing a slowdown. Williams-Sonoma, which is the parent company of both West Elm and Pottery Barn, reported a fall in revenue of 20% for West Elm and a decline of 10% for Pottery Barn in the previous month. Wayfair, an online retailer of furniture, reported a 3.4% decrease in revenue for the second quarter, and La-Z-Boy, a producer of furniture, reported a 20% decrease in sales for the month of August. We are in a period where consumers are buying fewer large-ticket furniture pieces than they did a year ago as they shift their spending, Williams-Sonoma CEO Laura Alber said on a call with investors. We are in a period where large-ticket furniture pieces are selling for less than they did a year ago. That's where we wrap things up for the time being. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.